Welcome to another episode of Victoria's Lounge from the Azure Hotel, Nairobi. Now, life was never designed to be easy. In fact, for some, it's a lot harder. But in their cases, perseverance and resilience kicked in to help them not just survive, but to thrive. We bring you now our Survivor Tales series, and hopefully from the stories you're about to hear, you draw some inspiration. Well, we're here with our first survivor. Wow, Lucy Njigua, you have an amazing story. So yours actually began with you expecting your first child. Tell us your story. My
story is that I first was going to have my first baby. And the moment I realized I was pregnant, this was last year, December, I was quite excited.
So the pregnancy was pretty normal up until a certain point. What happened?
I would normally go for my monthly checkups, and I remember joking with my doctor and telling him, why do I even need to come here, because everything was going so smoothly. The pregnancy, there was no sign of anything, so I was meeting all the goals that are every month. So we were doing the scans, and everything that was supposed to be done was done up until the first, I think the first sign of preeclampsia was around 23rd week.
What exactly is preeclampsia? We hear it a lot, but we know it's probably related to high blood pressure, but what is it exactly?
Preeclampsia is a condition that kicks in around after the 20th week of pregnancy. So this is generally mostly for women who've not had high blood pressure before. So you're not hypertensive, it's not that you had high blood pressure before. And then now here you are, kicks in, and the first sign is just very elevated high blood pressure, and kicks in at 23 weeks. So here come 23rd week, and I'm looking at it, and I have all these signs, and I think they're normal. So preeclampsia really manifests itself in a very normal way. So you assume that these are normal pregnancy signs.
So were you told, once you knew that it was preeclampsia, that now these are the risks, this is what you should be doing? Were you told anything like that?
No, actually, I didn't even know it was preeclampsia. We see what happened the first time I went for a normal checkup. I remember that day you go in, you have a conversation with the doctor, and I was told my BP was high. So I needed to rest, just rest a bit, about 30 minutes, and then we took another reading, and it was still high. What was striking is that I was advised to do another, to check my BP later that day. And what struck me is that when I went to the triage there, and the nurse checked my BP, and I told them that I'm pregnant, she said it's normal. She told me it's normal. Oh, you're pregnant. That's normal for a pregnant woman. A week after that, I was put on medication for I think 2 tablets in the morning and in the evening, and I went on with my life.
But you were aware that, okay, my blood pressure is a bit higher than normal. Yeah. So you go around, you're taking the medication. When did things now take a turn for the worse?
During that week, then my doctor advised me to be checking my BP. So what I did is I got the BP machine, and I was measuring my BP at home every day, and I could share this information with my doctor. But it was normal. I was not feeling, we were managing it a bit. Then a week later, the first time, it shot up to some ridiculous readings, I think around 180 over 120, I can't remember, but it was ridiculous. And I remember that weekend, I just happened to, I was going for a jazz concert, and it just happened just before I left the house, I decided to check my BP, and I saw it was ridiculously high. And of course, we checked on Google, and I'm like, you cannot go anywhere. I was with my friend, and she was telling me, you can't go anywhere. And I was like, no, we bought tickets, I'm feeling okay. What's this? This machine is faulty. That's the first thing. And so anyway, we called up our doctor, and I was told to go in. I went to hospital, and immediately I got to the hospital. They put me in the observation room, and I was put in IV to lower down the pressure, and immediately they started monitoring the baby. And I was put in for the weekend for monitoring. So that really was the first time that I really realized, oh, this is serious. But then, again, I just still knew it was just high blood pressure. So A week later, what happened is that I started having very sharp abdominal pain, very sharp pain on my right lower upper abdomen, and so it was so painful, and I was vomiting, and I'm feeling I'm in pain. Something's definitely wrong. And by this time, my face was swollen. My hands and feet were swollen. I had adjusted my watch because it couldn't fit me. Now I couldn't wear my normal size shoes. I had to go and buy, a new pair of shoes. I went again to the hospital. There was a Saturday I woke up and I was just feeling this is not right. So I was in the hospital at very early, 7 a.m. But what happened is that I had not slept the whole night because I was in so much pain. So I went to the hospital, and the same doctor who has admitted me the previous time is the same doctor who was there. This is now casualty. Okay. So they checked my BP, and the BP was low. So it became, they were not so much concerned because my BP was low. And remember, this is what they checked. I was just given another medication to line my stomach. I was told this is a medication that you'll use it once a day fasting in the morning. Just take it to line your stomach and use the other medication that you're using for the pain. And I went home. And looking back, I just feel like that is where we missed that. Something should have been done at that point, because at that point we did not monitor the baby. 2-3 days later, that's when everything, got really bad. Yeah.
So what happened on that particular day?
So here I am, I come to the doctor, and I'm lying there, and by this time I know the sound of the heartbeat. Yeah, it's very fast. So it's a bit low, and I look at my doctor and I'm thinking, that's not normal. So he tells me, no, you know what, probably the medication you're taking, because now we had increased the dosage to 3 times a day. Probably the medication is making the baby drowsy also. When I went home at night, I had these hot flashes, just feeling hot, sweating, vomiting, in pain, and all those things. But I knew the next day I was going for a scan, so I just decided to wait until the next day. So when I went for the scan, that morning, funny thing, I was just feeling normal. And I checked my BP again, and it was normal. And I was celebrating, thinking, we called up, telling, we were celebrating the BP. Finally, we're managing this. We're managing, the BP has gone back to normal. So I go in for the scan, and I remember just sitting there thinking, wow, this is finally managed this. I'm waiting to see what the readings are and what the scan will say. But then
take your time, it's okay. I know it's really hard to kind of recount that moment.
That day he muted the sound.
He muted the sound?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm just lying there, and I'm just telling him, I had a scan 2 weeks ago, because when I had been admitted, he's not the one who did the scan. So I'm just giving him the story, I've done this the last 2 weeks, this is what's been going on. And I'm explaining to him, but he's like, I'm still very drowsy, I'm in and out, and so I tell him, he tells me, just lie there, I'll tell you everything afterwards. But I noticed he's muted the sound, and I'm like, no, how comes the heartbeat today? I want to hear the heartbeat. No, he told me, just lie there. I'm like, no, this is not possible. Everything was fine. My BP has come back to normal. What is this? I'm like, no, this can't be. So the doctor just wrote a letter for me to go in and get admitted for induction. Yeah. And I'm still hoping that this is not true. Now, by this time, everyone has come. Yeah.
What was going through your mind? Because I can only imagine you were thinking, what more could I have done for this not to happen? Things took a turn where you could not go back from where you ended up. What was going through your mind during that time?
I was feeling like I'm not good enough, you know, of a good mother. I mean, I wasn't able to carry this. I was just feeling a bit very sad that what has happened to me? How come I don't have control? I normally have, I'm in charge, you know. I was just feeling so terrible not having control over this. I was admitted, I remember it was a Friday, and so they checked, of course, they drew my blood to check for the blood platelets and if my blood can clot, because that's another thing that comes with preeclampsia. Then if my blood is clotting, then it means I could bleed to death and all that. So they were doing all these tests, but let me tell you, this is all information that I came to know later. At that point, I didn't know what they were checking for. So I got admitted, and of course, you're induced and you get the baby. And then all these things later come in, and you get a counselor to talk to.
How are you going through the healing process? Because it is still very fresh. You said you only kind of came to know what this was much later. And I guess it's been the driving force for you wanting to raise awareness for other women to know the risks of this condition.
A mother needs to know what's happening. Any person needs to know what's happening to them, so that they can be in charge of their own experiences and journey, and probably even help the doctors to work with them to achieve the end goal, because I feel like I was in the dark.
So what do you tell another woman, another Lucy, who is groping in the dark, trying to figure out what is going on? The importance of taking charge of that process, and hopefully avoid something like what you went through.
We need to know the signs, we need to know what we can do to manage the condition. And the signs are, you know, it's not normal to have swellings. It's not normal to have nausea in your, after 20 weeks in your third trimester. It's not normal to have especially swelling in your face. These signs are not normal, especially if they happen after the 20 weeks. And not only knowing, I think it's just going out there and now taking charge of the pregnancy journey with your doctor. And asking questions. I feel that it's time that pregnant women went out there, and if you see the signs, if you know this is what's happening to me, then go out and ask those questions and make the doctors run the tests that are necessary. Don't wait too late, because I you know, probably waited too late, and that's why I lost my baby. Yeah.
Wow, Lucy, thank you so much for coming in to share your story, for your honesty, your bravery. You're extremely strong, and we're hoping that you're able to pull through and help more women through this process of raising awareness. Thanks again for coming in. And that was our first survivor. Amazing, amazing story by Lucy. I hope you were inspired and you also take control of your health. After all, it's your body. Let's take a short break here on Victoria's Lounge. Many more stories and tales of survival coming up next. All right, welcome back to Victoria's Lounge. Our survivor tales continue. With me now is Hubert Hategekimana. Did I say that right?
Yes.
Wonderful. I wanted to make sure I said it correctly. But of course, when people hear your last name, they're thinking, this is not a Kenyan. So take us through your experience, Hubert, because you actually went through the genocide in Rwanda.
Yes.
A horrific time for not just your country, the continent, the world at large. But what was your experience like?
My experience was like any other 11 years old going through genocide against Tutsis in Rwanda. One day, a morning, I won't say everything broke loose, because we've been seeing some of the things happening for the last for 4 years actually, starting in the 90s to 94 when everything now happened. So you knew you had to run for your life.
Wow. And of course, when it broke out, you were actually separated from your immediate family.
Yeah, I think when it happened, they came to our family house. They had lists of people who were supposed to die in the first leg of the killings.
Mm-hmm.
So when the good thing was at the beginning, I think it was a day after, they were coming for fathers.
Wow.
First. They were not coming to kill everybody, so they were coming shooting fathers. So when they got into our house, my father was already, he ran away. So we had enough time to run. They came in one door, so everybody went to the other door, and you are running. So there was no time to look for siblings or anybody else, so everybody went on his way.
And so you had to actually be in hiding for about 2 months.
Yeah, when I left home, I went somewhere. Actually, the next house I went to, I found everybody in that house laying down. They were almost killed. Wow. Everybody was laying down. They were butchered. Wow. So I tried another house. We're just trying to go, because at that time, I think we didn't have a sense of where we could run to. Right. Because we didn't know who was being killed. Right. So I went, and by chance, I would say, someone recognized me, someone who was actually one of the top players in the team in Rwanda, who recognized me as a young boy who used to go to see them playing and stuff like that. So he took me. It's because of him, I think I'm alive today. My goodness. So in those 2 months, what is going through your mind? Of course, you're separated from your family. You're wondering what is happening. Why is it taking so long that I have to be hidden? What was going through your mind through that time? I think a human mind is very strange. You're not thinking. You're in survival mode. You just want, when you have something to eat, the rest doesn't matter at that time. Right. At that particular time, you're not worried about your family. You want to survive, you want to live. So it was a day-by-day thing, because sometimes they would come into these houses and find people and kill them. So. Right, right. What was the scariest moment for you during the hideout time, if you want to call it that? The scariest moment was when we left the house where this guy was, because the guy who hid me was not in his house. He actually had left his house. He was in someone else's house. So because during the genocide in Rwanda, there was a war going on at the same time. So we were running from machetes, other people were running for bullets. Wow. So at some point it was a mixture, and then I went with the group that was running from the RPF. But they were roadblocks. So at one point on our way, he was saying I was his young brother. Right. Then at one point, I think physiologically, they said, this is not your brother. So they were going to kill me. Wow. So they took me from him. They took me aside. There was a pit where they were killing people and throwing them. So they wanted to remove my clothes, because I think they wanted to keep them. Yeah, yeah. And didn't want to be bloody and stuff like that. So they removed all my clothes. They just, it was at this, maybe a machete was just coming for me. Then someone in the group recognized the footballer. Wow. And just one person said, oh, wait, I know him because it was in a remote area, but they were used to come to the city center to watch the games. Yes, to watch the games. So he was one of the best players at that time. So everybody was cheating on him, and then that person recognized him and say, oh, you're this and that. And what happened is, just because someone recognized him, they say, oh, no, we can kill someone who's him. We will let him go, and he would. They knew I was not going far anyway. Wow. So because there were roadblocks everywhere. So that was the moment I think personally I saw death at this. That close. So they gave me back my clothes, and we continued our way. My goodness. So now let's fast forward a bit. The genocide is over, the war is over, and the country is now beginning a healing process. Did you first of all reunite with your family after that? Yes, when I came back after the genocide, I thought I was the only one who survived. And actually when I came back, everybody was coming back home. Everything was not becoming normal, but people were coming back to just try to figure out who's there. Right. And my immediate family was there. I was the only one who was missing. everybody went on his way, and by miracle, because my mom was pregnant, she was 9 months pregnant. She had a bullet, she was hit in her leg, butt next to that, and she had to give birth by herself.
Wow.
Thank God she was a medical, she was a nurse.
Right.
And when she was hiding, people hid her. They didn't know what to do. When it was time for her to give birth, she was telling them what to do.
Wow.
So I came back. But do you know what's funny? The boy who was born in that time, he's now grown up. He's a designer. Actually, he's the one who designed this suit for me.
And I was just admiring your jacket.
Yeah,
wow,
he's the
that's
one
amazing.
who did that.
Wow. How did you start the healing process? Because there's a lot you have to kind of get over before you get to the point of helping other people.
My healing process started really when I discovered who I was. When I discovered that my life was more than a tag someone have put on me. I discovered the potential I had was unlimited. I started falling in love with me. Because when you go through that kind of oppression, at one point you start believing what other people are saying on you. You start believing you're not worth anything. You start believing what other people say.
Yeah. You actually came under the tutelage of the late Dr. Miles Monroe, and he really, I mean, he was an amazing man. But just take us through what he taught you and how that kind of brought you into the person you are now.
Actually, it's funny because Dr. Monroe, when I came across him, at one point someone told him, because on my life story there was a movie that was made, Shooting Dogs, that was done by BBC, and I happened to work on the production of the movie.
Yes.
So I was working close to the director, and at one point I remember they did something on the set, and then I said, oh, that's not how it happened. And he looked at me, the person who was from Germany, who was in charge of the set, was upset because I was kind of counting his work, her work. She was a woman. And then I said, no, that's not how it happened. Then Michael Carter-Jones, who was the director, said, how do you know that? Oh, I said, my family actually was here. It was about when the UN left. That's the story of my family, my extended family. So at the end of the movie, when they knew I was a survivor, and especially from that place, then they dedicated the movie on to me and other survivors who worked on the movie, and then they put my picture at the end. Then someone from Dr. Monroe's organization saw the movie and he told him. And one day he came to me and said, so you went through genocide? I was like, yes. For me at that period of time, genocide was something I didn't want even to mention. I was not happy at that time. Why did they tell him? And he said, how come you never talk about it? Then I explained to him, I said, no, in Rwanda, that's not something we like to talk about. That's the past. Then he told me something that changed my life. He said, what gives you a right to be heard is not what you avoided. It's what you survived.
Wow.
He said, you have to tell people that you survived genocide. There is no, he said, in our organization, nobody can say that. That's what we give you a right to be heard.
Wow.
So that's how I started being able to share with. Actually, he's the one who told me you have to share your story.
As we wrap up, what advice, what wisdom can you give to Kenyans? We're in an election period and we tend to see a bit of tension and division come up at this time. Just about the importance of coming together and the dangers of allowing divisive words and politics to kind of get in the way of that unity.
Things are not what they are. Things are what you call them. In Rwanda, what happened, they started calling Tutsis snakes. You would just think snake, cockroaches, that's how they call them. You would just think it's a name, they are mad, they're just calling you names. But what I realized while doing leadership development is when you call someone a snake, in your mind he's not human, he's a snake. It's very easy to kill a snake. That's what happened. I would advise Kenyans, pay attention on how you call people. Pay attention, because that's what will lead to one day, if you don't pay attention as a people and treat everybody as a human being, equal to you, even if you don't agree, even if you defer to I don't know what. If you reduce them to humans, you will never go through genocide. Otherwise, you will wake up in the morning and you'll be wondering, how did we end up here?
Wow.
Don't call anybody or think about anybody as less as a human. We are humans.
Amazing.
Before we are Kenyans, before we are Rwandans, I know we are very proud. I saw Kenyans are very proud of their nation.
Absolutely. Before
you treat others as strangers, we are humans. At the end of the day, we breathe the same oxygen. When it rains on everyone. We are humans. And you need me as I need you.
Wonderful.
The minute we treat people like that, we'll never experience genocide.
Great words of advice. Thank you so much, Hubert, for sharing. I hope many are challenged by what you've just said, especially during this time for our country. On that note, let's take a short break. Much more ahead on Victoria's Lounge. Welcome back. You're watching Victoria's Lounge. Joining me now is Regina Mwangi. Such a beautiful girl. My goodness. I remember seeing your picture on social media and thinking, wow, you'd never have imagined that you went through what you did.
Yeah.
But take us through what life was like. You grew up in the Kiambu slums.
Yeah.
What was that like?
I grew up in slums here in Nairobi, Kiambu. I was born without a disability, so I was born normally, young girl running up and down. But then when I was at the age of 7, I started developing some complications with my movement. And with time, I lost my ability to walk normally like a normal person. So I would drag my feet, which was very painful. My shoes would wear out like every week. But I sought medical attention. I sought medical attention for long. I think I spent 3 years looking for medical attention, but the doctors could not diagnose. So you can imagine, here you have a problem, but the expert cannot even tell what the problem is. So that was like a double tragedy for me, because at least if you could say, there's a problem with your spine, that will be a different story. But now we can't see the problem, but the problem is there. Yeah.
So did you eventually find out what it was?
After like in 2005, I went for surgery in Kijabe Hospital. And it was in the surgery room that the doctor discovered that I had complications with my back as well.
Wow.
So they couldn't take me back to the theater again. So I had to go through a series of taking x-rays, looking for other experts, and they were like, you know, this is a very serious problem. We cannot just do a surgery on you because it's risky, it's complicated. It can either make you worse than you are already, you can either die or you can be better. So you look at the options you're given, and I just said, I think I'm just okay the way I am. I love myself so much, so let me just stay the way I am.
Wow, amazing. Yeah. But I'm wondering, because you know, you said you were born normally, you had a pretty normal childhood, you're one of the kids running around, and then all of a sudden you can't. What was that like for you emotionally? What kind of toll did that take?
I was pretty young back then, so I couldn't like understand the effect this was going to have in my life, because my parents and my siblings and my friends were there. So at that age, I never like fathomed the effects it would have. But after like growing up, now I came to understand why you can't walk, you can't dance, you know, you can't go for parties like the rest of the girls. But I think I had very powerful people around me, people who encouraged me. I also got a chance to interact with people, with other people who have serious problems than mine, people with disabilities and have made it in life. And so that kind of encouraged me,
And you know, it's like you had so many obstacles, so many things kind of stopping you, one of which was going to school. And you're thinking, like, it wasn't bad enough that
Yeah.
I got my ability to walk taken
Yeah,
away.
yeah.
Now going to school was an issue.
Yeah, going to school, initially it wasn't an issue because my parents just enrolled me to the nearby kindergarten school around. And so I went there, the teacher was nice to me, the schoolmates were nice to me. But now transitioning from the kindergarten stage to the primary school level, that was a whole another issue because I couldn't be enrolled to just any other school.
Right.
So we had to make plans to get a good school, maybe even a private school that would be closer to home. And we found one luckily, but financial constraints came in too. But I think, as psychologists say it, I normally look at the glass half full, not half empty. So I was like, oh, I go to school, I'm bright, I'm sharp, oh, that's okay. And little by little, things just aligned themselves to even where I am now, yeah.
It's amazing because you have such a strong sense of self and confidence.
Yeah.
And you're thinking for a young lady, you're coming through your preteen into teenage stages, self-esteem is a big deal.
Yeah,
the
it
way you
is.
look and how people perceive you. So how did you get through that point in your life?
Initially, I was even afraid of coming out. Yes, people are telling you you're beautiful, but you're like, yes, I'm beautiful, but I have a disability. So, I think with time, I think I've got to see so many things in life, and I think there are serious tragedies in life than having a disability. Things like having a bad attitude, that is a very serious disability.
A big disability, yes.
Yeah. Things like being lazy, that is a serious disability than even being on a wheelchair. And so I just made the lemon out of the lemonade out of the lemon that God gave me, and tried to see if I can't walk, what else can I do? Can I use my story to inspire others? Can I still pursue my dreams? Because up here I am well. It's only that down here I can't walk. And so I think I went for that, yeah.
Amazing. And even in your journey for school and now you're coming into university, USIU opens up, an amazing school.
Yeah.
But there was a bit of an issue. Though you had the scholarship covered, the accommodation was an issue to come around. So how did you get through that?
Actually, getting to USIU to me is a dream come true. Just getting my head into USIU, that was a dream accomplished, because I remember after high school, I went through so many challenges. I lost some of the funders that I had who were funding me up to that stage. So I tried to knock into so many doors. You guys help me. I got this grade. I want to go to uni. But some of the doors were shut. Some opened, like Andy's. And even the USIU, I'm a scholar. I'm under scholarship. So I applied for it and I acquired it. So Andy came in to cater for my accommodation. It's amazing how everything worked out, because I remember I was told to report on 30th August. But at the beginning of August, there was no hope. There was no hope. I was even told, you just leave the scholarship. I mean, where will you be sleeping? What will you be eating, even if you cater for your tuition fee? But I think just having hope and just knowing that there is God and things are going to work out, I think it worked out for me.
Amazing.
And having people to support me.
Yeah, and now you're studying international relations and journalism.
Yeah. I looked at the media industry here in Kenya, considering that I have a disability, and I was like, hey, where are you going to find a job with your journalism degree? Just find something else and just blend it. So I went for international relations, which I love, of course, so I blended it with journalism still. Yeah.
Wow. And once you're done with international relations, journalism, for instance, what would you want to do after that?
Of course, when you're in uni, you're just thinking of maybe completing your degree and landing yourself a good job, earning money. But I think for me, I've gone through so much. I've met so many people who have inspired me. I've also taken time to soul search and know what I really want. And I think, not even think, I'm sure that I now already know my purpose, and my purpose is to touch lives.
Yeah.
Once you understand that you are not born for yourself, you are not born for just for making money, you are born to make an impact in this world. My purpose is to impact lives with my international relations. I'm looking forward to work with humanitarian organizations.
Wonderful.
So there I will be touching lives, and with my journalism also be touching people with stories.
You sure will.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now tell us about the Andy campaign. What's
Yeah.
that all about?
Wow, I'm so excited about that campaign. So I'm the brand ambassador for the Nico Educatable campaign. It's an initiative of Andy Action Network for the Disabled. So we are basically raising funds to educate more kids with disabilities, because I mean, it's no secret that many people with disabilities have financial, problems. And so I've reached to where I am because people supported me. People gave my dreams a chance. People believed in me. And so there are so many other kids with disabilities out there like me that also would aspire to get a good quality education. And so with Andy and this campaign, we are looking forward to do that, because there are no more shambas to give to them.
Amazing.
There's no money to give to them. I mean, the handouts we give them on the streets are not enough to sustain their lives. But with a good education, a quality education, they'll be able to do something with their lives. Yeah.
Great. And as we wrap up, what encouragement can you give to another young person who is living with a disability? What can you tell them?
I'll just tell them, believe in yourself. I mean, disability is not your end. There's so much more that you can do in life. Life outside here, it's very beautiful. You can enjoy life just like any other person. And about stigmatization or feeling like you are a victim of circumstances, take that out. If you want to survive here in this world, you need to have a strong mentality, a very strong self-esteem, and a very strong outlook of life. And go for what you want. Believe in your dreams. My dream was to be here, and it has just come true.
Amazing. Wow.
Yeah,
Never
yeah.
be a victim of your circumstances.
Yeah.
Regina, thank you so much for coming to share your
Thanks
story.
for having me.
Absolutely. Anytime.
Yeah, yeah.
And I hope you were inspired and encouraged and challenged by the stories that you heard on the show today. Keep the conversation going on social media, #Victoria's Lounge. We love to hear from you, and share your survivor tale as well. We want to hear that as well, and maybe you can find yourself right here like Regina and other people can hear your story. Thank you so much to Azure Hotel in Nairobi for hosting us. Have a wonderful evening, and let's do this again next week.